Hi everyone, welcome to Random Daisy's Creates. I am Jess. Today we'll be sewing our Annie bottoms, which are available for purchase at our Etsy store, which will be linked down below. Alrighty, when you download the file, don't worry if you can't see the white border along the dashed lines. That is perfectly normal. Although make sure that you don't scale up or down when printing. Once printed, you will see the white border, the pattern pieces together like shown in the picture, so match A to A, B to B, C to C, and D to D. Materials slash supplies that you will be needing are a single needle and an overlock. Overlock is optional. If your single needle is able to do a zigzag, don't worry about the overlock. So basically you will just be doing the overlock steps using a zigzag. Some other supplies that you will need are 1/3 of a yard for the face, 1/3 of a yard for the lining. But here's the thing, if you're going to be using the same fabric for both face and lining, if your fabric measures 58 or higher inches in width, you're okay with just getting 1/3. So you don't need to get like 2/3 of a yard. You'll also be needing a rotary cutter. For the rotary cutter, I suggest you have a cutting mat. If you don't have a rotary cutter, you could use fabric scissors. I personally do prefer fabric scissors. You will also be needing a fabric pencil or a keys, which dissolves when it's wet, so you don't have to worry about leaving lines on the fabric. So for elastic, I would recommend using 1/4 inch rubber elastic. It just helps your bikini look much better and maintain its form after it's been worn. You'll also be needing a loop turner. You'll see why later on. Some pins, and a good pair of thread scissors or a seam ripper, whichever you're more comfortable with. You'll need to cut one front face, one front lining, two back face, two back lining. Now be careful when you cut the backs, because if you cut them the same side, it won't work. You need to make sure that when you cut, like for the face fabric, you cut a pair, and when you cut the back lining, you also cut a pair. Make sure you sew both back pattern pieces, so lining and face. Alright, so as you can see, I'm sewing the back with an overlock. If you don't have an overlock, like I said, you could use a zigzag stitch. That is fine as well. So once you've sewn the back face and the back lining, you're going to want to grab the front piece. So now you're going to be sewing the crotch seam. If you're not using an overlock and you're using a zigzag instead, I suggest doing this part with a single needle stitch. As you can see, I use the face for the face and the lining with the lining. I pair them up. Alrighty, once you've sewn the crotch seams, you're gonna go ahead and seam rip opening of the crotch. You're gonna make it about of an inch wide, no wider than an inch. And I'm measuring right there. As you can see, I'm centering where the opening is gonna be. So once you have that done, you're going to grab both face and lining, and we're going to be putting on the elastic. Alright, when you put the elastic, you're going to make sure that both right sides of the fabric are facing each other. You don't want one right side of the fabric to be facing outwards and the other one to be facing inwards. So grab the lining and make sure the correct side of the fabric is visible. Grab yourself, make sure the correct side of that fabric is visible. You're gonna go ahead and just put them together, facing each other. Once you've done that, you're gonna go ahead and apply the elastic. You might also want to double check that you have the front facing the front and the back facing the back before applying the elastic. This has happened to me once or twice where I didn't check and the front is facing the back and I'm already halfway done applying elastic, which is just a disaster because then you have to seam rip everything. So you're gonna go ahead and do what I'm doing as well in this part. I'm pushing the crotch seams for the face/self upwards towards the back, while pushing the bottom crotch seams for the lining downwards towards the front. If you don't do it this way, you will make it a bit difficult for you, so make sure you just do this. And I repeat again, because this is very important. You're going to want the crotch seam for the face upwards towards the back. And you're going to want the crotch seams for the lining going downwards towards the front. And after you've done that, just go ahead and keep applying the elastic. I'm sorry if you hear some barking or some growling, those are my dogs. I'm very sorry for that. When applying elastic, make sure you don't pull on the elastic or the fabric. If you do, it's going to come out gathered, so just let it go at its normal speed. Alright, here we're going through the other crotch seams. Face, you want the crotch seams going upwards towards the back. For the lining, you want the crotch seams going downwards towards the front. Okay, you should be finished with elastic. As you can see, this is how it should look. So as you can see the picture I have here, only the front is flipped. Leave the back as it is right now. So now I'll be inserting the loop turner through the bottom back side opening first. I'm gonna go ahead and push the loop turner out through the crotch seam. And I'm gonna be grabbing the bottom side front. I'm gonna hook the loop turner into the front side now. Do not twist or turn the front when you are inserting it to the back piece. You're gonna go ahead and pin them into place and make sure that the face fabric is facing the face fabric and the lining fabric is facing the lining fabric. For the sides, you're going to go ahead and use your single needle. You're going to stitch the sides. You're going to be doing this for both sides. Make sure that the face is facing the face, the lining is facing the lining. You're going to go ahead and tack at the very beginning. And tack again at the very end. When you're finished sewing the sides, here's how you can finish it. There's two ways to finish the sides. So the first is folding the elastic into the lining. As you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just basically getting the elastic and flipping it over, and I'm going to be tacking just the elastic part. There we are. As you can see, the elastic is flipped over into the lining. So both elastics, as you can see, are tacked into the lining. Okay, another way to finish the sides would be just sewing it how you normally would, but not tacking the sides. In this case, you would just cut the fabric and elastic about 1/8 of an inch away from the seam. You're going to go ahead and flip the bikini from the crotch seam, pull out your fingers in, and flip it out. Try not to pull a lot. If you pull a lot, the seam will start opening a bit. So just gently pull it out. As you can see, the sides are nicely done. Let's check the other side. There we go. Okay, for the crotch seam, you could either do a hand stitch or invincible stitch, however you want. You could also do a side seam where you just grab the front and the back, you squish them together and you top stitch, or like this, which is how I do it. As you can see, I tack the very beginning, just a few stitches. And I'm going to make sure I tack at the very end. Here's a quick tip, make sure you have the same color thread for both the needle and the bobbin. I forgot, so I ended up with green bobbin thread at the bottom of the crotch. And here we go, this is our finished bikini bottom. This is the bottom that has moderate to full coverage depending on your bum size, to be honest.